Hey, Josh here. For centuries, people believed they knew how the pyramids of Giza were built. But now scientists have a shocking new theory that could rewrite history. Discover the truth on this episode of The Infographic Show. The Pyramid of Giza is the last of the 7 wonders of the ancient world still standing. And even after thousands of years, it remains an engineering miracle. And it was built without modern technology. But how? For centuries, scientists thought they had it figured out, but they might be wrong. Depending on who you speak to, there are several theories about who built the pyramids. Some claim it was slaves of the Egyptian Empire, a theory widely treated as misconception. Others say paid laborers working grueling days, and still others point to elite architects and engineers who masterminded the entire operation. The real answer is likely some level of all of the above, with a massive team being needed to even begin to pull it off. But for centuries, explorers and Egyptologists have been captivated by what they discovered inside. And one of the most intriguing parts is just how big some of the blocks are. Many of the blocks weigh more than 2 tons each, and the largest granite beams in the king's chamber tip the scales at 80 tons. How was it even possible to build something like this without any modern equipment? The first step in uncovering how the pyramids were built is understanding what they were made of. Many megastructures around the world combine stone with more flexible materials, but the earliest pyramids built during the 3rd, 4th, and 5th dynasties mostly used quarried limestone blocks that were set with mortar. Granite was reserved for key chambers inside of the pyramid. This was the era when the Great Pyramid of Giza rose, and its massive rough-cut stones were carefully balanced with large amounts of gypsum and rubble. It wasn't a true binding agent, but it was effective enough to keep the stones firmly in place. Time passed and techniques changed, but not how you would expect. Pyramid construction became less impressive and mysterious during the Middle Kingdom. Most pyramids of this era were only encased in limestone and built mainly from mud, brick, and clay. This meant that it could be constructed piece by piece from the ground up. It required only menial labor and was slowly assembled by workers using ladders and pulleys. The bricks only needed to be as large as necessary, which meant that the massive stones of the Great Pyramid never repeated themselves. And that only made them more fascinating. Part of the process was turning the gypsum into mortar, which required dehydrating the stone. This required a large amount of fire, which required a large amount of wood. Egypt isn't known for its lush forest, so creating the raw material demanded near total deforestation. The tracing of the wood actually led scientists to discover that the Old Kingdom dated back several hundred years earlier than they had thought, as far back as 2850 BCE. However, others argue that the carbon testing on the ancient wood could be inaccurate. But this was only the first part of the puzzle. It's believed that workers used basic tools like copper chisels, manual drills, and rudimentary saws to shape the massive stones. From there, the massive blocks were likely moved on sledges over prepared paths, likely to be wet sand to help reduce any friction, before being transported from the quarry to the pyramid site to lay the foundation. With careful planning, getting them to the right location would be possible. Some of the first clues as to how this was done can be found in the monuments themselves. The tomb of the 12th dynasty monarch or governor Djehuti-Hotep features an illustration of 172 men pulling a massive sledge with a huge statue of the pharaoh. Some researchers think the Egyptians might have used a cradle method, an idea inspired by later temple models. Combining 4 of these devices to fit around a block would make it possible to move and minimize the labor required. But this was believed to only be feasible for blocks weighing up to 2.5 tons, and others were far bigger than that. This method might have worked for the first step, moving the blocks from the quarry, but it would have been useless for lifting them higher onto the pyramid. Once the foundation was set, each step became harder and harder. And that's when the technology would have had to get more advanced. For the longest time, the main theory was ramps, a simple system where massive blocks could be slid up and placed on top of existing ones. This would have required sturdy ramps, steady hands, and a rope system to guide the workers. And this is where the mystery deepens. While there have been no large ramp remains discovered at Giza, there is some evidence of them at quarries. Does this mean that the Egyptians didn't use ramps to build the pyramids? Not at all. In fact, archaeologists have created unique theories of how it could have been done. Egyptologist Mark Lehner believes a spiral ramp would have been built around the pyramid as it grew and allowed for a smooth motion to push the blocks into place. However, this would have covered the building and caused it to be far more difficult to accurately design the structure. It was clear that something else would be needed. Levers are among the earliest machines ever created, simple beams or rods on a fulcrum that can exert a large amount of force over a short distance. This method was thought to be paired with the ramps to lift the heaviest blocks, a theory even supported by Herodotus. Archaeologists discovered a device called the shaduf, an irrigation tool based on levers, showing that early Egyptians had clearly mastered the technology. Experts believed these levers were used to lift the top 3% of the material, but that accounted for nearly a third of the pyramid's total height, meaning they still carried an enormous weight. And they were getting closer to the truth. Levering likely played a key role in pyramid construction. Some techniques lifted blocks incrementally, side by side, with sturdy wood or stone props inserted to hold them in place. Others used larger levers to hoist massive stones into position. Both methods were slow, grueling work and explained much of the design, but not all of it. No matter how much scientists studied the technology, they still couldn't explain every detail. But the answers might come from nature. One of the most powerful tools in early construction was water. The flow of the Nile was crucial for transporting materials from the quarry to the pyramid site. A 2022 study made the case that the river levels were higher then, and the river was expanded, and that allowed for the Giza Pyramid complex to be possible. And in 2024, there was a breakthrough. Radar satellite imagery confirmed the existence of an extinct Nile branch that reached the western desert plateau, close to the pyramid site. It was concluded that it likely died out due to drought and desertification. This could have been used to transport boats full of workers and construction equipment, painting a very different picture of Egypt's ecosystem during the Old Kingdom. While some theorists raised the possibility of locks being used to elevate the boats and make transport easier, no evidence has been found of this yet. This may have opened the floodgates to a whole new theory. A new study on pyramid construction appeared in Nature, authored by Dr. Simon Andreas Skuring of Weill Cornell Medicine in New York. And the more he examined the evidence, the stranger it became. The Great Pyramid of Giza was built over about 20 years, a long time until you consider it contains over 2.3 million limestone blocks. That works out to a block being laid every few minutes, depending on the work pattern. And each of these blocks weighed over a ton. For all the ramps and levers involved, this would have still been a painstaking process that would have required a much slower construction pace. The math simply didn't add up. So Dr. Skuring's team set out to create a completely new theory. By the end, they proposed a method of pyramid construction using a level of sophistication many doubted the ancient Egyptians could achieve, but one that would have been entirely possible with the technology of the era. And it would have all been done from the inside out. The system would have relied on a complex network of pulley-like mechanisms powered by sliding counterweights down a series of ramps. This created an almost automated system, pulling blocks into place with surprising speed. It even prompted a re-examination of key locations inside the pyramid, like the Grand Gallery. This room always had some unusual features, such as the wear and tear along the walls and a polished surface. This was originally seen as just evidence of more foot traffic, but it's now believed to have been used heavily by the sliding sledges and counterweights that carried the bricks. And it may have solved one of the biggest mysteries of the pyramid. The antechamber, according to Dr. Skuring's study, was fortified for a very different purpose. It may have been the heart of this entire pulley operation, serving as a fulcrum that could be used to lift the heaviest bricks. This pulley system would have allowed workers to tweak the ropes all the way from the antechamber, giving them just the right amount of leverage to move stones that weighed tons. And all the mysteries began to make sense when you flip the perspective. The pyramids had an off-kilter layout, with passages and chambers falling in asymmetrical manners. Structures that are built from the ground up painstakingly usually come in a much more uniform style. But in this case, the designers might not have had a choice. The pulley system would have created mechanical constraints, explaining many anomalies, like the pyramid's slightly concave faces not being perfectly flat. It also explains why the blocks get smaller toward the summit as the system approaches its limits. And the theory is still taking shape. Skuring and his team spent years putting together an in-depth look at what this model would look like. They created a detailed diagram of the antechamber's pulley system and how it would have operated. This would have been a massive network of wooden logs connected by ropes, generating immense leveraged pressure from the central chamber that would have radiated outward, assembling the pyramid around it. And as each new level was added, the system would have had to work harder and harder. To find evidence for this, they examined the tiniest markings left in the pyramid, which they believe were indentations used to support the logs or grooves where the ropes were held. Now it's just a matter of putting it to the test. The massive structure that was constructed with this system is unlike anything else we've seen in history. The machine that was used to create it might not be easy to duplicate. There are still many parts of the pyramid that haven't been explained, but only make sense with this theory. The concave faces have long been one of the pyramid's biggest mysteries and could be explained by the sliding pulleys. But the exact locations of the pulleys haven't been found. with only the ascending passage and the Grand Gallery identified as sites for ramps that generated force. Experts believe a second sliding ramp would have been needed higher in the pyramid's core, but it remains undiscovered. Brick by brick, the pyramid would have taken shape. The process of constructing the pyramid using this internal mechanism would have been slow and painstaking, but it would have replaced manpower with machine power. If recreated today, it could be enhanced with high-tension materials, like titanium cables instead of tightly wound ropes. Yet, in many ways, the process would remain the same, relying on ancient forces and raw materials. Because some things never change, and the ancient Egyptians figured that out long ago. Now go check out 50 insane facts about ancient Egypt, or click on this video instead.